welcome to Daily Inspirations. My name is Michelle Dawn, and today I am doing a plan with me in my Happy Planner color block layout, which is my health tracking and wellness planner, and I will be decorating with Planything's Spring Floral Sticker Book. Enjoy! April is National Poetry Month, which I talked about in my last video. My last plan with me, which was my lined vertical Villa Beautiful planner for the week of April 4th. So I talked about the history of National Poetry Month as well as some frequently asked questions and things like that. Today I am going to read to you a couple of poems by Emily Dickinson. She is my absolute favorite poet of all time. I am getting today's information from leonardonewtonic.com. I will put that in the description. And this article is called The 10 Most Famous Poems by Emily Dickinson. And it was written by a person whose name is spelled Anirudh. Emily Dickinson is considered among the greatest poets in English literature. She is known for her unusual use of form and syntax and for being the poet of paradox. Dickinson was a prolific writer and created nearly 1,800 poems, but only a handful of them were published during her lifetime. Here are 10 of the most famous poems by America's leading female poet. I am not going to read you all 10 of them, but I will start with number 1, which is also my number 1 favorite by Emily Dickinson, and it is called Hope is the Thing with Feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm, that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. The article says about this poem, the most famous poem by Dickinson, Hope is the Thing with Feathers, is ranked among the greatest poems in the English language. It metaphorically describes hope as a bird that rests in the soul, sings continuously, and never demands anything, even in the direst of circumstances. The next poem by Emily Dickinson that I will read today is I'm Nobody, Who Are You? This is the write-up from leonardonewtonic.com. In this poem, the narrator considers that being nobody is a luxury, and it is depressingly repetitive to be somebody who, like a frog, has a compulsion to croak all the time. The most talked about detail of Dickinson's life is perhaps that only 10 of her nearly 1,800 works were published during her lifetime, and she lived her life in anonymity. This, and the fact that the poem is about the popular subject of us against them, makes it one of the most famous poems written by Dickinson. Here's the poem. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell, they'd banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public, like a frog. To tell one's name the livelong June to an admiring bog. This next one is number 5 on the list of the top 10 most famous poems by Emily Dickinson, and it is called If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking. And leonardonewtonic.com says this simple and often quoted poem by Dickinson talks about the deeds one can do which will ensure that, they spelled that wrong, that one's life was not in vain. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. Number 7 on the list is Success is Counted Sweetest. In this poem, Dickinson uses the image of a victorious army and of a defeated soldier who is dying. Through this image, she conveys that the success can be understood best by those who have suffered defeat. The popularity of the poem lies in the fact that, unlike some of her other poems, which talk about losing in romance, success is counted sweetest can be applied to any situation where there are winners and losers. Here is the poem. Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of all the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear of victory. As he defeated, dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of triumph burst agonized and clear. The last poem that I am going to read to you by Emily Dickinson today is called Faith is a Fine Invention. It is number 10 on the list of 10 most famous poems by Emily Dickinson. And the website says, an often quoted poem, Faith is a Fine Invention, gives insight on Dickinson's views on religion and science. While calling faith an invention and putting it in quotation marks suggests that the poem is pro-science, yet the ability for only some to see or possess a kind of divine power contradicts that. No wonder Dickinson is famous as the poet of paradox. She goes on to add that it is wiser to use microscopes or science in an emergency. I am going to say that I will use both in an emergency. Here's the poem. Faith is a fine invention for gentlemen who see, but microscopes are prudent in an emergency. I apologize for that fan sound in the background. That's my laptop keeps trying to cool off, I guess. But that's all I have for you today for Emily Dickinson. If you watched my last plan with me, you will have heard that I was going to read you some of my poetry. However, I cannot locate any digital documents or pictures of my poetry, and I don't have any of it physically anymore because when we moved out of mold, we couldn't bring anything with us. So maybe someday I will read you some poetry. I know my mom has my collection at her house and can send me some pictures, but for now, that's it for National Poetry Month. And as far as my spread goes, I am adding just a couple of more flowers up in the corners. Kind of pull it all together. The washi tape and florals match, so the washi along the bottom row where I do my pulse ox and notes section matches the florals perfectly. And I did put the Girl Boss Anna Underlay inks over top of the dates. I just thought you could still see the numbers through and it looked pretty cool, so I thought I'd give it a try. The last thing I have to do on my spread is to write down the categories in the boxes, and those will be weather, sleep, pain, mood, meds, symptoms, pulse ox, and notes. Oh, and steps at the very, very, very end. And I write the number of steps in the Girl Boss Anna inks. All done. Thank you so much for watching. Today I used Planything's Spring Florals washi and sticker book, as well as Girl Boss Anna's ink underlay collection Moonchild. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thanks again for watching. Please leave it a like and subscribe. See you next time. Stay inspired. Bye.